Taylor Swift just got engaged to Travis Kelce, a fairy tale moment fans had been waiting for. The internet lit up with congratulations, love, and excitement. Selena Gomez celebrated. Sabrina Carpenter posted. The world was cheering. Except for Blake Lively. Yes, the woman once considered Taylor's closest friend, who shared holidays with her, whose children called Taylor their aunt, stayed completely silent. No text, no Instagram post, no congratulations, nothing. Why? Because behind the glitz and glamour lies betrayal, hurt, and silence so deep that insiders say Taylor and Blake don't talk at all. And the real story? It's darker than you think. Welcome to Celebrity Watchline. Subscribe now, because today we're uncovering the shocking downfall of Taylor Swift and Blake Lively's. Taylor Swift and Blake Lively weren't just friends. They were family. Back in the mid-2010s, Taylor's squad era was at its peak. Everyone wanted to be in the circle, but Blake wasn't just another face in the crowd. She and husband Ryan Reynolds became central figures in Taylor's world. They celebrated birthdays together. Blake's daughters appeared in Taylor's music. Remember the Reputation track that literally features her kids' voices? Taylor wasn't just Annie Tay, she was woven into the family fabric. At the time, fans crowned Blake and Taylor friendship goals. They weren't posing for PR. They weren't chasing headlines. This bond felt real. But here's the thing about Hollywood friendships. The closer you are, the more explosive the fallout can be. Because while the world thought this bond was rock solid, a storm was already brewing. And it had nothing to do with boyfriends, jealousy, or clashing egos. It was loyalty, lawsuits, and betrayal. And it would all come to light at the worst possible moment. Justin Baldoni, the man behind the lawsuit that changed everything. In May, Taylor Swift's name was suddenly pulled into Blake Lively's legal war with Baldoni. Fans were blindsided. Why was Taylor's name being used in someone else's battle? Here's what happened. During legal proceedings, texts allegedly sent by Blake surfaced. In them, she referred to her dragons. Not metaphorical, but real life, high-profile friends who could defend her if things got ugly. Her so-called dragons? Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds. For Taylor, this was a gut punch. Suddenly, she wasn't just a friend. She was a pawn in someone else's legal mess. A source told Us Weekly Taylor was really hurt to be implicated. Her team even said the subpoena was designed to use Taylor's name to create clickbait. Think about that. You're one of the most powerful women in the world, and your best friend drags you into a lawsuit that has nothing to do with you. Would you forgive that? Tell me in the comments, if your best friend used your name in court to flex their power, would you still have their back? Yes or no? The fallout was swift, no pun intended. Sources say Taylor and Blake stopped talking immediately after. No calls, no texts, no effort to repair, just silence. And then came the engagement. Taylor and Travis Kelce broke the internet with their joint Instagram post. Your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married. It was everything fans wanted. The ring, the romance, the playful caption. Selena Gomez reposted with, "When bestie gets engaged." Sabrina Carpenter celebrated. Even distant acquaintances chimed in. But Blake? Nothing. One insider told the Daily Mail, "Blake didn't reach out and isn't going to. This isn't the time. What would be the point now?" Another claimed, "She doesn't talk about Taylor at all anymore." So far, we've seen Taylor Swift's fairy tale engagement overshadowed by betrayal, silence, and a friendship shattered in court. But the darkest fallout wasn't public. It was private. And it's still unfolding. The press had a field day. Daily Mail called it a snub. Us Weekly reported radio silence. Fans dissected every possible reason. One side blames Blake. She dragged Taylor into court, then ghosted her after the engagement? That's unforgivable. Another side says Taylor froze her out first. Taylor cut her off because of the lawsuit. Blake's silence is just self-preservation. The fan divide grew uglier when whispers about the wedding surfaced. According to insiders, Blake wasn't even considered for a bridesmaid spot or an invite at all. This is something they would have talked about in the past, a source explained. Now, It's just silence. There's no question of Blake being in the wedding. She knows that. But while the fandom obsessed over invites and Instagram silence, the biggest shift was happening behind closed doors, in Hollywood power circles. Blake and Taylor's friendship wasn't just personal, it was powerful. Their connection linked music, film, fashion, and fame. Together, they were an empire. But in Hollywood, when empires collapse, others take sides. Now, Blake has Ryan and her film world. Taylor has Travis, Selena, Sabrina, and her global tour. But the crossover? It's gone. And for fans, it feels like the end of an era. Just like when Selena and Demi drifted. Or when Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie went from besties to enemies. Insiders even claim Blake has already made peace with being absent from the wedding of the century. She's not sitting at home obsessing, one source said. She's focusing on her own life. But here's where it gets interesting. A different insider insists reconciliation isn't impossible. The wounds are deep, yes. But in Hollywood, nothing is permanent. One phone call, one apology, one life event, and it could all change. So, is this really the end of Taylor and Blake's friendship? Maybe. But as we've seen time and again, in Hollywood, the final chapter is never really the final chapter. Taylor Swift's engagement should have been a moment of pure joy. Instead, it exposed one of the deepest fractures in her personal life. A friendship that once looked unshakable has been buried under lawsuits, silence, and unanswered texts. Maybe Blake thought reaching out would feel fake. Maybe Taylor was too hurt to forgive. But here's the tragic part. Sometimes, it's not about who's right or wrong. Sometimes, friendships just die quietly. Taylor now steps into a new chapter as a fiancé, as the woman who tamed the NFL's biggest star. But one question remains: who will stand beside her on her wedding day? And who won't even get an invitation? Thanks for watching Celebrity Watchline. Don't forget to subscribe and keep the drama coming.